Welcome to 8 at 8. Would you hear the words of Jesus this morning? Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This morning I want to share some insights with you from David Guzik's Enduring Word Commentary. And I'm just going to slowly walk you through Jesus' words and ask you to have a spiritual experience, a time of connecting to the Jesus who said these words so long ago, but who is saying them to us in a fresh way this morning. Come unto me. Jesus begins this invitation with authority. He's talking to you and to me this morning, and he's saying, come unto me. And so would you take just a brief moment and respond in your heart. Tell the Lord you're open to whatever he has to speak to you today. Submit to his authority. Now I want you to listen to Jesus. All who labor and who are heavy burdened. Those who labor are those who have worked hard and are tired. And it could mean physical labor, but it also, to me, speaks this idea that I've been in my own strength doing the things that I've been doing, and I'm tired. And then heavy burden may refer to this idea of the burdens that have been placed on you by other people. So some of our burdens we brought on ourselves, like the way that we've worked and the things that we've strived to do, and other burdens have been placed on us. And Jesus is asking you to come to him. And so would you just be honest with the Lord this morning and see if you can put into words your fatigue, your exhaustion that comes from just your own effort. And maybe you can name out loud or in your heart those burdens that other people have placed on you. Would you take a moment and just receive the invitation, all of you who are labored and who are heavy burdened? Jesus turns to us all and he says, take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. I'm going to ask you to take a moment this morning and to tell Jesus, if you want to, that you're willing to take his yoke upon you. Now, I know if you're like me, never really been around a yoke before. I am the grandson of a farmer, but that's kind of a long ways away for me personally. So I think I hope the basic idea of a yoke, but basically it's something that joins together two animals together, like two oxen, and it keeps them together, it keeps them working together. And of course, in the way that you train animals is you put a stronger, more experienced animal yoked up to another one, and it kind of trains the new one, the younger one, how to work and how to move and so forth. And so I just want to ask you, would you take a moment? I know you think you already would say this in your heart, but maybe you could even just say it out loud or say it in a new way. Lord, I'm willing to yoke up with you. I'm willing to come to you and to take on the same yoke that you have on, and we're willing to do this together today. Would you just tell Jesus yes to that invitation? From a distance, we can get all the wrong kinds of ideas. That's why we've been talking a lot lately about the difference between being a fan and a follower of Jesus. A fan looks at Jesus' yoke from a distance and I don't want anything to do with that. Like when it really means yoking up with Jesus and walking his path with him. But a follower says, I'll take on that yoke and I'll be joined up to Jesus the whole day. Like I'm going to literally live my life the whole day yoked up with Jesus. Now, in the next moment, I'm going to ask you to try to, in your own heart, in your own way, to identify why Jesus says his yoke is easy and light. You might want to compare it to the yoke that other people have placed on you and have asked you to yoke up with them. If you compare it to that, man, Jesus' yoke is easy and light, because instead of your spouse or your boss or your friend or whatever it might be that's yoked up with you, instead of that person being on the other end of the yoke, it's Jesus Christ, the one who lived and died and rose from the dead and who offers you the power of God. So think about that for a moment. You might even need to just take off the yoke that you've been yoked up to with somebody else who has power over you and is pulling you in the wrong direction. Think about that for a moment. Also might need to think about how some of us have been pulling the yoke this direction, and yeah, we're yoked up with Jesus, but before you know it, we're strained in our neck or our body's sore, or we're super heavy laden because we've been rebelling against the yoke that we've been trying to walk with. And so maybe there's just a exhaling this morning of all of the pressure you've been putting on that yoke with Jesus. And maybe you can just stop fighting against it, stop rebelling against it this morning. And just say, Lord, I'm done. I'm done trying to pull you over to one side. I'm just going to trust that if I walk straight ahead with you, that your yoke is easy and your burden is light. Would you just share that with the Lord from your heart this morning? And one final word for you to receive this morning. I want you to listen to what Jesus says will happen when we receive his invitation to come to me, to take on his yoke. He says we will find rest for our souls. Aware of all the things that we've prayed about in these last moments, would you breathe in the Spirit of God, and would you allow yourself to just be at rest? All you who are full of labor and exhaustion, all those of you who've received burdens from other people they've placed on you, would you experience rest for your souls? Now, this may be an exercise, a practice that you may need to repeat again later today when you start feeling heavy burdened by others, or when your own labors lead you to a point of exhaustion. When you realize you've been pulling against the yoke into your own direction, you may need to just stop and do all of this again. Do it as many times today as you need to until you're just walking right in the path of Jesus, yoked up with him, finding rest for your souls.